Ink Ribbon.
While the PS3 failed to deliver enough horror games for my liking, the PS4 has more than made up for it. There are way more than 10 great horror games out there, but I decided to pick my favorites for you guys. So with that, here are my picks for the best PS4 horror games for this year.
Number 10.
Layers of Fear. Walking through this game can be initially dismissed as a bore, but what makes this game cool is the breadcrumb story delivery and how the game gets increasingly messed up. As you move through the game, there are various sounds and jump scares, but this is just the beginning. I really can't say much without spoiling it, but at certain points, reality pretty much falls apart and physics cease to exist.
Number 9.
Alien Isolation. If you're a fan of the Alien movies, then this is a definite must. You are on the ship where no one is answering, which of course is because the xenomorph is on the loose, and now it's coming after you. One thing that makes this terrifying is that the AI is so unpredictable in its movements that you are constantly on your toes, wondering if it's right behind you.
Number 8.
Resident Evil Remaster. If you haven't played this, it's definitely worth a try. This also goes for the Resident Evil 0 remaster as well, but this is definitely the scarier game. While the original hasn't aged as well, this remaster is like a fine wine. A fine wine that will jump from the shadows and try to bite, claw, and kill you. With added game mechanics, beautiful new graphics, and a few extra modes, it's a great try for any horror fan.
Number 7.
Until Dawn. If you liked Heavy Rain or Indigo Prophecy, then this game should be right up your alley. This also is a good pick if you love classic slasher movies like Scream or I Know You Did Last Summer. The game is basically a slasher movie, except you get to make all the decisions for the characters, which is great since it can lead to multiple endings and story paths. Unfortunately, I can't say much else without spoiling it, but I'm sure you get the idea.
Number 6.
Outlast. Here's a game that has a lot to offer. If you're like me and you're hard to scare, this game will fix that. You're stuck in an insane asylum with nothing but the camera in your hand, which thankfully has night vision. Just make sure you don't run out of battery. Unlike most predictable jump scares, Outlast does a really good job of catching you by surprise. Constantly running, dodging, or screaming, you'd be hard-pressed to get through it without taking a break. And if you've played this already, good news is there's a DLC pack as well as a true sequel. Enjoy! Are you enjoying this video? Then hit subscribe, it's just a few clicks and it really helps out my channel. Okay, back to the video.
Number 5.
Among the Sleep. Remember when you were a small child and things were a lot bigger and scarier? This game takes you right back to that. You play as a young toddler who is trying to get to their parents' bedroom after a nightmare, but it's not that simple. Pretty much everything that can go bump in the night will try to stop you. Who knew being a kid again could be so terrifying?
Number 4.
PT. Okay, so yes, PT was only a demo and it's no longer available, but I still have to put it on this list. And not just on this list, but at number 3. If you were lucky enough to play it, then you already know why I put it here. If you haven't, well, I wish I could give you a big hug because you really missed out. This was a flash-in-the-pan masterpiece, even just as a demo. Never has a game used scare tactics and fear like this. Good news is, the game has been remade by several different people if you want to go try it. Happy Googling.
Number 3.
Lone Survivor. If Silent Hill was made for the Super Nintendo, it would look something like Lone Survivor. While the 2D sprite style isn't my personal taste, the sound design really makes the game shine. I was laying in bed, playing with headphones on, and started noticing that my heart was racing and I felt very uneasy, like someone was watching me. The story gets pretty interesting and there's a lot of different endings and outcomes to try out. I'd give it a shot.
Number 2.
Soma. Here's one for sci-fi fans. A blend of horror and science fiction go hand in hand in this game that takes place in what seems to be an underwater facility. Less of a jump scare game and more of a psychological horror, It's a unique experience that can leave you looking behind you to make sure no one is with you. The game plants a lot of things into your head that you'll be pondering long after you play the game.
Number 1.
Resident Evil 7. Remember how I talked about how great PT was? Well, thankfully the guys over at Capcom made RE7. It's not exactly like PT, but it gets the job done and more. Monsters, puzzles, rich environments, and if you have VR then you crank the game up to 11. When I played this in VR, there was a part early in the game where a character jumps out from around a corner to surprise you, and I flailed so hard my VR headset came off and flew across the room. Just to give you an idea. And there are my top picks for the best PS4 horror games of 2017. If you like this list, check out my other lists and videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Kai Morgan, and as always, thanks for watching Ink Ribbon.